Congratulations to the players who won those giveaways. Let's take a look at a brand new Hex match. Once again, for round four, this is the first round four game that we're going to be watching. It is going to be myself, Nicholas Pedrasky, and InfamousNeo, or Paul Spencer, doing some casting for you. Well, Adam does all the screen transitions in the background and chills out until a future round. Mr. Takata. Takata?
Yeah, Takata's fine.
And we are going to look at some more Kagalichu today. DjinnNTonic
Let's
playing on
do it, Podrosky.
Mr. Podrosky, yeah. On the bottom, we have DjinnNTonic playing Kagalichu with, an opening handful of cards that just shouldn't exist. Underworld Crusader, Runeir Hierophant, Hero Fall, and Rotten Rancor. Not a single one of those bad cards by the slightest. And a more interesting, up on the top, Puckin Balthazar, being played by Ternau. 4 wild resources, Crocosaur, the Might Singer of Alindra, and a Battle of Destiny. A couple of cards that we haven't seen in a while, and a card that I'm not really sure I've ever seen in Constructed. What are you thinking about these hands?
I'm thinking that some wildlife might be on the horizon. That's what I'm thinking immediately. Like, as soon as I see that Puckin Balthazar and a bunch of wild, I'm like, yeah, this has got the potential to be the dream deck. The Might Singer is going to die to Hero Fall. The Runeir is going to smash some faces in, and hopefully, if we're lucky, they're both going to get eaten, the Crusader and the Runeir, by this Crocosaur.
Well, we'll see as these players choose to keep their hands and get back into this. You say Hero Fall is going to hit the Might Singer. I don't think you're wrong. It really does depend on how that Monsagi Lily Pad is used.
The old Lily Coins.
The old Lily Coins. And, that Might Singer really just has to stick on the board for a turn to gain some advantage. Puckin Balthazar, a champion we haven't seen a whole lot of. I hovered over the charge power for everybody just a little bit earlier. 5 charges. You draw a card off the top of your deck. If it's a resource, you put it into play immediately. And if it is not a resource, then you gain 2 health, which is an interesting trick.
Can we move the mouse off the threshold there? Because
Nope, can't do that.
All right, fair enough.
Hopefully that'll be done in the future by future Pentachills.
Thank you, future Pentachill. So the important thing that happened there is an ice was drawn, and the ice means that the blood was not played, and that means that turn 3 Hero Fall is not an option. But unfortunately, Ternau has not put the Might Singer down on 2.
Yeah, well, fortunately or unfortunately, I suppose, they might be choosing to hold on to that to gain as much value as possible, at least 1 turn here.
Dreamweaver Ancient, that's a funky little piece of meat right there.
That is a very good draw for them here. Might Singer going to... I haven't seen it in a while, so let's just go over Might Singer real quick. Might Singer is a 2/2 for 2 with Crush. If you gain a wild threshold, you're the top card of your deck decides if it's a troop to come into your hand, and if it's anything else to just shuffle itself into your deck somewhere. Not shuffle your deck, shuffle itself.
Nice explanation, but unfortunately on a scale of 1 to Hero Fall it right now, the Might Singer has landed on Hero Fall it right now.
Yeah, that is fair. Also, it does gain +5/+5 at the start of your turn if you have 5 wild threshold. It's also a thing. A little bit sad to see a Gifted the Manti pickup for Ternau there, who really wanted that just a second ago.
It's
just
time.
A second.
It is time. I hope you're ready, because it is, in fact, time.
It's been a long time.
In fact, if you could just open the door and get on the floor, because everybody's going to walk
the Crocosaur.
Yeah, exactly. So choices are Battle Hopper Crusader or Hierophant Crusader. The Hierophant Crusader choice has been made. That's going to make a 3/3 and a 1/1. There was the option there to keep the Hierophant around and the Crocosaur around too. But this is how things are now. This is the life we live in. This is the timeline we've gone down. And honestly, these guys don't have Steadfast. And this Dreamweaver Ancient...
Yeah, this isn't so bad at all for Ternau here, who is going to be able to drop Dreamweaver Ancient with Gift of the Magi, Gift of the Manti backup here. That seems pretty sweet, actually.
Is Dreamweaver 5 or 4? I thought it's 5.
4. Oh, it was going to be 4, and then it became 5. Right. No, I lied to you. That is not a thing that is going to happen. I'm living in the days where it was different.
However, putting prompt down here is an A-OK play, because it means that next turn the Dreamweaver is bigger, and potentially there's another resource from that Dread Harvest as well. I think that's a Dread Harvest. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is.
I believe it's actually tilling the soil.
Oh, it's tilling the soil. There you go. So Hereful comes down. Gift of the Mantis.
It's a Dread Harvest. I liked it.
Anyway, there is another resource available in the form of that Dread Harvest. We see 2 Rotten Rancors. There actually isn't. Is there something in Crypt that can kill this prompt with a Rancor?
The rune here is a 4/4, so I don't think it can. Future Pentachills could check out the Crypt, but that would require some things. Oh, we see a wild socketed Mordrum's Gift. I'm quite happy about that.
That's one of my favorite sockets for actually, because the way we've seen it being used is repeatedly on the same troop over and over to stack up those deploy triggers and keep generating card advantage that way.
Yeah. A very quick round, actually. Round 5 horn going. So if you're playing in the tournament, round 5 is now underway.
So we see the swing in here.
In the future.
Ternau on 11, about to take 4. Obviously, the swing here is to bait the Rancor to make it so that this prompt is going to go down, doesn't block, doesn't take the bait, and that means, of course, that this Dreamweaver Ancient is ready to roll.
Ternau gave that a lot of thought, which I can appreciate. Gave that a lot of thought because it was a super important decision.
Yeah. So I guess Crocosaur is another possible option here. Get rid of the blockers, do the damage, have a big blocker on the back, and then Ancient can go in next turn. Because, I mean, it could take out the threats as well. Like, taking the 3/3 is obviously an option, but with a 5/8 on the board, it's not that much of a threat. But, I mean, there are 6 cards in that hand. 5 cards even. And you've got to think that at least some of it's got to be removal.
Yeah, which, I mean, Ternau has gone for a play that would have been super punished by Hero Fall, or even maybe not necessarily Strangle. I guess it would have been punished a little bit by Strangle. But that actually is not the case here. We can see the Dreadling come in. Commander Prompt really getting a lot of work done here. And now DjinnNTonic actually has multiple threats to deal with, all in the same little package and bundle.
So Cottontail is actually pretty huge here with 2 Rancor in hand. The potential for burying something that's useful is pretty decent. I think that's just a Crusader and a non-useful card, though. Could have been Seeker. Seeker would have been strong. Man, Commander Prompt and Crocosaur working together like that to boost the defense of Crocosaur, to make Crocosaur even more survivable when it's battling 2 different troops, is an interesting one. There's a Hero Fall. That is a card that is going to be useful here for DjinnNTonic.
Well, so the problem here is that Ternau wants to see that used on either of the cards that he's got on the board. Dreamweaver Ancient is well and beyond the card he wants to get into the board and protect for the longest time. And we're going to see if that ends up being the case here. Because now with the Hero Fall, the only quick removal out of the way, Dreamweaver can come down. It's going to be a ferocious threat. It can't get double blocked out by either of the troops on the board, and it does have Crush, so some damage is getting through. And it's boosted in attack by the Commander Prompt. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, looks like a 6 or a 5 cost here, depending on if a block is made.
Potentially a 4. Could double block. Would be weird. Cottontail Explorer going to give his life to stop a Dreadling, and we're going to see an Autumn Spiritualist hit the board.
Oh, that top deck was a bit spicy. Oh, no.
Well, the thing that can get around even Spell Shield, the Eternal Seeker's ability to count to numbers. Today's game is brought to you by the number 5.
Seeker's coming down, and yeah, it's probably going to be 5. You know,
Well, you have to try.
gift.
Yeah, it is a difficult decision though. Getting rid of the prompt makes the ancient much less of a threat, so that might be the way to go, or you might think it's the way to go.
So
Yeah.
this is interesting too. So there could be a gift of the. I mean, obviously the Battle of Destiny gets the Seeker out of the way here, but that's not necessarily the best thing when there are 2 Rancors in the opponent's hand. Obviously, you don't know that. You have, like, without a doubt, you go for the Seeker here with that Battle of Destiny. And I guess the Rancor does block off one. The Manti blocks off one of the Rancors, but there's enough resources that both can be played.
One of the rare times where double Rancor is an actual threat. We're going to see a 4-drop wall created. It is a Thunderfield Warden, I believe is the name of that card. Cares about Valor, so does the Autumn Spiritualist, but not a lot of Valor to be seen.
Doesn't it make Valor's...
When Ardent Troops come into play. Yeah. I believe it actually makes Ardent some for itself as well. Let's just pop that card up. Yeah, when an Ardent Troop enters play under your control, you create 2 Valors, put them into your deck. I believe that counts itself.
Yeah. Well, it triggered when it came into play. And they get draw cards. So Valors draw cards. So Rancor's going to come in here. The target is probably Ancient with the look to void. Oh, it actually might be the 5/5 though. Okay. Interesting that the Gift of the Manti wasn't used there.
Well, so if I'm not mistaken, that doesn't actually stop the Seeker from coming into play. It doesn't, like, Rotten Rancor doesn't fall off of the chain if its target disappears.
Right. Okay, so 4 would have been chosen and it would have
also, by the looks of it, Eternal Seeker didn't choose a number of a card on the board. Am I crazy? Yeah, no, he just didn't choose a number.
Huh.
So
this is actually lethal.
Yep.
Swing, and I guess maybe that's why we didn't see the Gift of the Manti used there.
Well, we didn't see a coins first. There could be an answer here.
Could be, but ultimately there is not one.
Yeah. Huh. Well, let's see if Ternau goes for it. Does. Huh. DjinnNTonic, just confirming in chat, was a misclick on the Seeker. So, unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate for DjinnNTonic there to have a misclick decide the outcome of that match, or potentially decide the outcome of that match. It certainly would have been more in his favor there had he got to actually play the game. But got to take your time. Be really careful with all the...
More importantly than all of this, though, Mono Wild taking the win over Kagalichu, Crocosaur doing some work, Prompty doing some work, and even Dreamweaver Ancient there doing some work. I really like... I like Prompt with Crocosaur and with Dreamweaver Ancient. And they... the Prompt comes down the turn before both of those things. That's such synergy.
Yeah. New game up on the screen. We can see DjinnNTonic yet again on the bottom. Ternau up again on the top here, and we're going to see an interesting set of opening hands. Kagalichi this time with, I suppose, a keeper, but it's a little bit slow. The Wild Eyes will be able to help gas up. On the top, Puck and Balthasar, really just a slew of cards that who even knows what's going on. There's an Eager Lackey. There is an aspect of the Squirrel socketed with Death Cry, Summon Up Light Blossom. The Dread Harvest.
So yeah, we got 1, 2, and that's it. But maybe Lackey makes something nice and spicy. The Fentio is terrifying. But yeah, I mean, I like a hand that has a Fentio in it against a deck that doesn't actually have any removal that can kill it right now.
Yeah, Fenteo actually a little bit of a, I suppose, like a stubborn single troop to put down because you don't want to put two troops down. Your opponent's got potentially Crocosaurs at any given moment. We see a mist.
Mr. Mistlord?
Yeah, Mistlord. I'm playing that card in Constructed. I've played like 100 games with that card in the last 5 days, and I was just like, I have no idea what it's called.
Much more importantly, a Mistlord with the potential to go onto a Lackey or a Crocosaur. A Mistlord Crocosaur sounds pretty spicy, but a Mistlord Lackey sounds pretty spicy also. Very much a spicy situation that's happening here.
Quite a few resources away for that, though. We are going to see the Dread Harvest come down. Dread Harvest not able to generate a Dreadling on this particular turn, as the resource had already been played. Fenteo going to drop down to the board. Fenteo not going to be under two. Well, so here's the thing. If this Seeger Lackey swings in and the Dreadling swings in, you block with the Fenteo, right?
Yeah, it's not going to work the way you think it is.
No, it's not. It is going to be the Dread Harvest.
Ultimately, when you've got that aspect in the hand, you want those Dreadlings in the crypt first, so the priority is there. I think I would have swung though. I think I'd be on board with the swing just in case, because I'd lose the extra effect of the aspect just to get rid of the Fenteo, right?
Yeah, but regardless, even with only one resource available, we don't see the Fenteo make the block, so it's kind of irrelevant. I don't actually believe there's a one resource trick that could have punished the Fenteo for a block there, but in a heated constructed match, I'm not sure I'd have sat down and thought about it too long. DjinnNTonic happy to take a point of damage there. My cursor hovering over pop-ups. And we are going to see Fenteo exhaust itself to put some Tarantula eggs into Puck and Balthazar's deck. So those are 3. Those are some nasty little Banes that are going to sit in Ternau's deck, and if he ever draws them, they will hatch, and a 5/5 Spider will appear on DjinnNTonic's side of the board that will also get the choice to destroy one of Ternau's troops. It's a really, really, really bad thing to draw. Does allow you to draw the next card after it, though, if that happens, which is, I suppose, payoff, little bit of retribution. Ternau definitely giving.
What's interesting here is that although the Fenteo is doing some work, these Dread Harvests are also doing work of their own. Like a ton of damage is coming through from these Dreadlings. So far, it's been 5 total. Mistlord comes in as well. The Hero Fall has been held up, but honestly, Mistlord isn't a great target for it, so this might go unopposed.
Yeah, well, you say it's not a great target for it. I would at least make the thought and case that it does give something immunity at some point from Hero Fall. So it might be a Hero Fall sponge. If you don't Hero Fall it now, that power could be shifted onto, let's say, the Lackey, and then the Lackey can never be hit by Hero Fall. Not that you would normally target a Hero Fall onto a Lackey, but you understand what I mean.
Well, the Lackey play does provide some additional card advantage. We see Combination of Blood off the top there. Combination's honestly pretty good. If Kagalichi puts some troops in Crypt here, that's playable. And that losing that prompt is huge.
Even one troop in the Crypt.
Not one.
And in fact, takes one out. Puts one in, takes one out.
Just needed to play the combination in the middle there somewhere.
Which he couldn't do, obviously. Could choose to put the Explorer down and try to hit again. Would need to put all 3 of the bottom cards of his deck into the Crypt as troops.
So if these resources are used and the Hero Fall is not held, I would say that this is a pretty strong position. Getting the commander prompt down with those two additional Dreadlings from Dread Harvest, and potentially Puck and Balthazar hits another resource too, putting out 4.
Oh, that would be so brutal. Yeah, 4. That's 12 damage just from the Dreadlings, another 5 from the Mist Lord, another 3 from the Lackey. Only 1 blocker available, blocks out 5, so 12, 15. Yeah, that would be lethal. Assuming, but I mean, that's assuming no blockers here. And we can actually see, well, he might choose to hold up the Hero Foam.
Yeah, it really comes down to whether this Acolyte gets played or not. And also any Tarantulas that might come off the top. Very possible now with 6 eggs.
Yeah, and the Tarantulas.
So the Hero Fall is held, and that makes things less scary, to be honest.
Crocosaur, not too bad, though.
Yeah, Crocosaur's very nice. It's just going to get Hero Falled, but at least it gives that prompt a chance to shine. I think I don't Puck and Balthazar here if I'm Ternau.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like he needs to. He's going to. Finds a wild resource, which is, not bad. Here comes the brigade. 1 extra resource would have made this lethal with the Gift of the Med. Oh, actually, wait, no. Commander prompt costs 4. This is lethal as is.
Oh yeah, that's true. I went through the whole extra resource play in my mind without actually adding the extra resource that it would create there. Yeah.
So exactly lethal.
2-0 to the Mono Wild. Man, there's a lot of little subtle synergies in that deck that I really like. Like the prompt with Crocosaur and with Dreamweaver Ancient, I super like. And then Puck and Balthazar potentially double triggering Harvest and Might Singer. Pretty good as well.
Yeah, I just generally like anything that's running cards that are clearly powerful but have slipped away. Like Might Singer's not a bad card. People aren't running it as much right now, but it never stopped being a good card. Crocosaur as a good example as well. The main deck, Gift of the Mantis, though, winning, I believe, both games, and just like constantly giving options to the Mono Wild deck. I'm really, really, really a big fan.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting, isn't it, that they are Gift of the Mantis and not Gargoliths.
Yeah. Well, just a little bit more play, I guess, with the +2/+2. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe it's a price choice. Could be any number of things, but they worked there in every situation they came up, and I'm quite a fan.